Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about this book, which has honestly changed the entire way I view relationships, communication, conflict, people, all of it. It was just mind-blowing reading it. The first way it blew my mind was that I started seeing, whenever I see people communicating more or less healthily, they're all just trying to express needs. We're all just walking around trying to express our needs, and some of us simply haven't been taught how to express our needs or how to express them in a way that doesn't hurt others or that doesn't create conflict. So this changes everything, because all of a sudden you realize people aren't actually out there to hurt anyone. All of our, well, obviously there's like very rare exceptions, but let's say like the average person is not there to harm anyone, and if they behave in a way that hurts others, they're just like dealing with their pain or basically just trying to get a need met that isn't met, that has maybe never been met, and just desperately trying to do that. But because they lack the tools that are described in the book, they don't know how to say it. So I love this view of the world, because it truly shows that you can have empathy towards everyone all of a sudden, because if you see someone very frustrated or so, all you start seeing is really that person has a lot of unmet needs and they're trying desperately to get them met. Yeah, so that was number one. Number two is conflict always just is trying to bring up unmet needs. If there's conflict between two parties, at least one of them has unmet needs and tries to express them. That's all. Like this book talks about like cultural conflicts and relationships and work and all that, but it's always about like unmet needs that try to be expressed by either party. And yeah, what a nice way to look at the world, isn't it? Okay, so here's how you express your needs according to the book. I'm gonna look at my cheat sheets. I printed and laminated a lot of them, and I drew some giraffes, fun fact, because they have the biggest heart, and that's why they're associated with nonviolent communication, because your heart grows and you have so much empathy. Such a nice thing. Anyway, so how do you do it? The first thing is you pick a specific example which you also don't relate to something bigger. Like you don't say, as always, yesterday when da da da. No, you just pick one specific example. So you say, for example, yesterday when I messaged you at 8 a.m. and you replied at 9 p.m. So the first part always has to be something you can see, hear, or notice. Like it can't be like when you didn't listen to me, because who knows if they were listening. You can't film that, but you can film someone, like you can film socks on the floor or so. Something like that, like something you can see. And then, so an action or a circumstance, very precise. Then the next part is a feeling. I feel. For example, when I messaged you yesterday at 9 a.m. and you messaged back at 8 p.m. At 9 p.m. I said, I feel sad, or I feel alone. And notice, this is the tricky part we're going to get to later, but there are real feelings and there are not real feelings. So there are feelings like sad, alone, etc. And then there are things that sound like feelings, but they aren't actually feelings, and they're very passive aggressive. Like, I feel ignored, I feel abandoned, I feel let down, because that implies that the other person has done something wrong. It's more about the other person than about ourselves, and we always have to, we don't have to do anything, but in nonviolent communication, we choose to focus on feelings that are just about us. Like alone, that's not about, like abandoned kind of says and means, hey, you abandoned me, that's why I felt abandoned. But alone is not about anyone else really. It's more about I just felt alone, and that it doesn't come with a big expectation of you're not supposed to abandon me, so why would you? And then I feel abandoned, you know? Do you see the difference? It's like, it's subtle, but and we're so used to using all the other words, but yeah. So you state the feeling that you felt as neutrally as possible and without implying it was caused by the other person. The next one is because I need connection, or because I crave to be close to you, or because I would love to know how your day is going. Things like that. And these are our needs, and there are lists of needs that you can look at and download, and like I'm going to read out a few, like intimacy, warmth, love, understanding, compassion, choice, stability, presence, authenticity, creativity, clarity. Like, yeah, so you just express the feeling as neutrally as possible. And that was a big light bulb for me, because I was thinking, like, it's so true. Oftentimes when we get upset about something that the other person did, it was because we were craving connection in the first place, or like some kind of need, and we didn't get it. And then we get angry and we show the secondary emotion to the other person, which is like anger or frustration or annoyance, or like being annoyed or something like that, but we never show them the first emotion, which was a lot of the times for me was just sadness, like, or loneliness, things like that. And then I only show the pissed off after it has already happened, but I don't show the sadness that was there in the first place, like the first emotion. And obviously, don't get me wrong, you can say I felt annoyed or I felt angry. So you're not supposed to, in NVC, like push anything down or hide anything or bury feelings. NVC is all about expressing them fully and as fully as you can. Right, so because I need, or because I was craving, or because I needed to hear how your day was going and I needed connection. Or you can say because I value our time together. When you left at 5:30, I felt alone because I value our time together. See how like vulnerable that is actually, and that's why it's really hard. Okay, and then the next step is you say, would you be willing to, for example, like, and you do something very, very precise and very like something they can do now, or even in the future. And it can be as simple as, would you be willing to acknowledge that I must have felt a bit lonely? Or would you be willing to tell me how you felt? Or would you be willing to tell me like how it was from your side? Or would you be willing to tell me that you understand how I felt now after I've explained this? Because sometimes what we're really craving is first the understanding, like that the other person says, yes, I got it, you must have felt alone, or you felt alone when I didn't message all day. And then, hallelujah, that's all we were craving in the first place, right? Anyway, and then, but also it can be something precise, like, would you be willing tomorrow to message me 2 times during the day as well, to check in, and so I feel connected. And it always has to be something that is actually doable, like a concrete action. Like, would you be willing to listen to me next time is not really a concrete action, because you can't prove it, you can't see a result. Like, how are you going to know if they, like, you can ask, would you be willing to next time to repeat back to me what I said? That's like a way, but not, you can't ask someone for something you can't see, or like you couldn't record with the camera. Yeah, so, and then the last part that's really important is you have to accept if that person says no, but then you open up the discussion and you're like, okay, could you explain to me, because I want to understand why you wouldn't be willing to do that, And then, so that brings a whole, and then they are supposed to do it exactly the same way, like with their feelings. I feel da 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 when da 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 because I need, or and their needs of why they don't want to do what you're asking them to, because it might be conflicting with their needs. What a way of communicating. I love it. So the cool part is you can do it from either side. It works because if you're the one with the unmet needs, you can explain them like this. But also, if you're the one who hasn't got a clue what's going on, and you come home, you have a message all day, you forgot, and you're like, your partner is very annoyed, and you can feel it. But even if they know nothing about nonviolent communication, you can kind of get them to explain their needs. So what you do is you're like, I don't know, what's up? And they're like, oh, you didn't message all day. Okay. Then you're like, okay. Then you use this process basically. So you're like, so when I don't message you all day, do you feel alone? And they're like, no, it's not about that. And oftentimes they'll just tell you exactly what the need is. Even if they say it in an unhealthy way, you can try to listen for the need that's behind it. Like if they say, I feel abandoned, that's like a need for connection that they express. Or I feel like you don't care about me at all, that's also a need for connection. So even if they have no idea what NVC is, you can try to listen to the need underneath. And sometimes you have to give yourself a lot of empathy to be able and ready to listen to the need underneath. Anyway, so you get to that core need, and then you can do that step for them to express like how you could meet that need. Like for example, you suggest, is it because you need me to message you a few times a day, or is it because you need me to check in with you how everything is going with, like, I don't know, work or kids or whatever? Or is it because you need reassurance that I will spend an hour in the evening when I have the time talking to you? Anyway, I think you got the gist. So this is how you do it and how you express it. And yeah. Number 4 is you have to soothe yourself when you or the other person isn't ready for it yet. Like for this process. Like do not force it, but like sometimes when you're not in a place to hear with empathy, you have to take yourself back and soothe yourself and like give yourself empathy. Like really hand on your heart, and what are my needs? What needs aren't met in this moment? What am I feeling? Like really tune into that. And the best way to get in touch with yourself and give yourself empathy is like past the situation, you write that in one column, like he didn't call me all day. The second is you think about, what am I feeling about that? Am I feeling alone? Am I feeling sad? You put that in the next column. The next one is you put the need behind that. Need for connection, need for closeness, need for reassurance. And then in the next column, you put the actions. And sometimes it's good to take a step back and think about this. And because if we feel, and just give us empathy, like be like, yeah, I understand you were craving closeness and you weren't getting it. Like just like the self-love in that moment is really important, because if you don't give that to yourself, if you're really not in a position where you can listen, it's just going to turn into a fight. So yeah, number 5 was just this whole book made me realize how much the choice of words actually matters, and how if we really just want to get our needs met, it matters so much to express them in a way that's not going to hurt the other person. And it's so interesting because like I never thought about it that way, but some words or way of formulating things really are very passive aggressive, and we use them all the time. Always when we say like, I feel like you, or I feel like you did da da da, like that's actually me judging someone else or me analyzing their behavior and putting my own spin to it. So this whole concept just made me very aware of how important it is the language we use in our head to others and towards ourselves, and a language of empathy, which is what this book is all about. It's just it just makes you feel so much better. Like yeah. So this is everything. This is about the book. I think this was really long. I could talk about this book for 2 more hours. I might do a part 2 at some point, but I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next week.